Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense, fantasy football news and advice in under 10 minutes for Week 5 of the NFL fantasy football season, or pro football season. Well, it's the NFL pro football season, but this is fantasy football news and advice. I am Smokey Ramirez, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. The topic of today's show is we need to assess the assets. It is week 5. We're going into week 5. We have 4 weeks of record to go off of, and we are going to assess what we have and what we don't have and move forward. But first, let's get into the news. Oh man, this Wednesday evening news dump. And first off, we have to start off by talking about Big Ben Roethlisberger. Who knows what's up with Big Ben? He now says he has a pectoral and a hip issue, which is holding back his play. Now, I've heard tell from people in Pittsburgh, Big Ben's entire career might be coming to an end based on his play in the upcoming game or so, if he does play. So, keep an eye on that. I'm not sure where there's smoke, there's fire or not, but you may want to watch out if he's on your dynasty or if you're in a deep league where you needed to play him, because he might not be long for the NFL. I'd like to think he's going to finish out the season, but who knows? That's just what people are murmuring about. Chase Claypool is back in Steelers practice. Now, this guy is someone that I had high hopes for this season, one of my breakout candidates, and I think he still is going to be great in the NFL. However, as we just talked about, Big Ben is not the guy who seems like he's going to support a wide receiver of his caliber anymore. Chase Claypool is an athletic specimen. He's one of these elite wide receivers, physical. And Ben's not really looking for guys like that these days. He's more depending on the slot receivers and Juju and Deontay Johnson. Now, Claypool can still score for you. He can still get you some big weeks here and there. I wouldn't be so confident of that if it's Mason Rudolph, but if Big Ben somehow does return to what he can be, I think Claypool will be great, but I can't count on it this season. Christian McCaffrey is logging some limited practices right now, so it seems at the moment that it's not going to be an extended absence like last season. We all know how that crushed a lot of teams. And Chuba Hubbard didn't work out as well as we thought. He was fine for an NFL team, but he was not a star for your fantasy team, that's for sure. Now, we don't know that he's going to be back this week. Christian McCaffrey might still be a couple weeks away, so keep an eye on his availability, because if he doesn't show up this week, I'm sure you can go ahead and play Chuba Hubbard again. He may get you even more fantasy points this week. You know, it was gain script last week, but he's not going to be the star that Christian McCaffrey is. So let's hope he gets back soon. Ezekiel Elliott is out with a sore knee, or what he calls knee tightness. And I just want to say this. Please don't do this to me, Zeke. I swear, guys, I've got a team where I drafted Zeke, J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Claypool, and Tua, and a few other questionables on that team. And please, Zeke, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. You're not going to completely ruin the team. All the other people who have been out and continue to be out have ruined the team already. But you're just going to add another layer to the onion. So please don't. Anyways, Zeke looks like he'll be back this week. It shouldn't be a thing that keeps him out, and I'm praying it's not. Justin Fields has officially been named the starter for the Bears for the rest of the season. And I think this is good for 2 reasons. It is good to help Justin develop confidence and develop as a starting quarterback in a season that they're not expecting to go very far. However, I do think the team could actually grow into something that goes farther with Justin Fields than if they kept Andy Dalton. People love Andy Dalton now. People love Andy Dalton and people hate Andy Dalton. And it's been that way for a long time. But trust me here, Justin Fields, I think this is going to be good for him going into next season. Don't put him on your fantasy team because he needs a season to develop. And I don't expect him to be really worthwhile, except for maybe late in the season if that does develop. So keep an eye on him, but don't go pick him up right now. Oh my God, Will Fuller has been sent to the IR. Wow, when you think back on players like Frank Gore, players that played for years and never missed a game, then we got Will Fuller. Will Fuller is an exceptional talent. He's a great burner, extremely fast wide receiver that can catch the balls anywhere. But you wouldn't know that by looking at his stats because he doesn't have a lot for his 5 seasons in the NFL. There's not a lot to show there because I don't think he's ever played 16 games in a season. I think we'd be hard pressed to find him playing 10 games in a season. Will Fuller, let's get back soon. Yeah, do that. Peyton Barber has turf toe now, which was weirdly to say the shining light of the backfield of the Raiders this season. Peyton Barber, yes, Peyton Barber. That guy was shaping up to be the star there, as weird as that sounds. But Josh Jacobs has lost it, apparently. Kenyon Drake is never going to get the usage there, apparently. So here we are with the star running back of that team, Peyton Barber, with turf toe. So he may miss some time. I'd stay away from that entire backfield. It just doesn't look good at all. Now let's run through the rest of this news dump in quick fire succession. Chris Carson is out right now, so look for Alex Collins. Remember that guy? Hey, he was good at one point. Maybe he can be again. Gerald Everett is coming back, and right now Dalvin Cook is out of practice, so let's hope he gets back before the weekend. Now that's it for the news today. Let's get on to the game theory portion of our show. And today we're talking about assess the assets. We have enough data right now here going into week 5 that we can look at what we do have and what we don't have. And the fact is, at this point, you kind of got to take it as a trend. There are people that we expected more out of, like Josh Jacobs, that are probably just not going to produce this season. It happens. And there are ones that we expected a lot less out of that are surprises. That happens every season. Remember James Robinson last year? Well, this year we got guys like Cordero Patterson and surprisingly Leonard Fournette, although I had faith in the guy all along. But he is actually producing viably for fantasy this year when he went undrafted in a lot of leagues. But Cordero Patterson was straight out of the blue. You got to admit that. The guy is putting up numbers. I don't know if this is going to continue for the rest of the season, but you got to take a chance on guys like this. And you have to cut bait on the ones that you drafted high that you just can't use in the end. It's simple enough, people. Just take a good long look at all your assets and see if you can determine off of these 4 weeks which ones are actually going to be useful for the season and which ones are not. That easy. That is how we determine the cycles and trends. Now, that's it for this week. Please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel. I am Smokey Ramirez, your fantasy football pro. I'll see you next week. Deuces.